place in Hubei province called Shennongjia, and I'm in an area called the Nine Lakes, and this is very close to Chongqing. It's only just in Hubei province, but some of the mountains actually border with Chongqing, so it's a very mountainous and forest kind of region, lots of outdoors and nature. So I'm here for a little holiday, so let's go around and have a look together. So actually I got here last night, but we're in another town, and I would say that it was so busy, it was very difficult to get a hotel room, so I had to go around and just knock on random doors and try and find a hotel to stay at, and I ended up finding a room, but I would say that the hotel room was the second worst hotel room I've ever stayed in. The worst hotel I've ever stayed in was in Vietnam, and I'm not even going to describe what that one was like because it was terrible. But this one that I stayed in last night smelled a little bit like a public toilet and was pretty dirty. I've got a nicer hotel today in this town, and this town feels a little bit more chilled out and a little bit quieter than the other one. The one I was in yesterday was a little bit busy. The weather's a lot different here compared to what it's like in Wuhan. I guess because there's a lot more mountains and it's like more of a forestry area, it's quite mild temperature. It's about 23, 24 degrees. Whereas in Wuhan it was stonkingly hot. Even though we're in the same province, the difference in temperature is pretty huge, which is crazy. It reminds me a little bit of Himachal Pradesh in India. Like, in the sense that when you go up the mountains, you kind of go into the clouds. So I'm at the Dajo Hall, or the Big Nine Lake, and I'm going to go and have a look around now. It's a scenic spot, and it's very beautiful from what I've seen so far. So we'll go inside, have a look around, and see what beautiful scenic places we can find. In this Nine Lakes park, there's a series of little tourist attractions, and one of them is a deer sanctuary. So, gonna go in now, have a little look at some deers and see what's going on. I'm inside a deer sanctuary now, and it's quite busy in here. There's quite a lot of tourists, but there's lots of deer you can go and have a look at. If you pay 10 RMB, they'll even give you a little packet of snacks that you can feed the deers with. Just finished at the deer park, and I've decided to walk to the next spot. One thing that's really nice about this place is just how scenic everything is. There's lots of beautiful mountains, it's very green and beautiful blue skies today, and it just makes you feel pretty chilled out being here. So it's a nice thing to do, to come to this place and just have a little wander around. You can get a tourist train that will take you to all the stops. To me that's slightly less fun. I'd prefer to walk. And if I'd have known you could rent e-bikes here, I would have done that, I think. But we didn't know it at the time. But it's still nice being here. On top of a mountain here. Actually, this mountain, you can see the border regions of three provinces: Hubei, Chongqing, and the province where Xi'an is. So it's quite interesting being up here. Obviously I'm up in the clouds, so everything just looks a bit white and grey, but it's interesting being up here, you know, and it does really remind me of India. Up on this mountain, it's pretty cool. It's about 17 degrees, and it is very similar to India, because when I was in Himachal Pradesh it was like 17, 20 degrees, because that was the Himalayan region of India, like the lower regions, not the high up regions. It was about, I think the highest mountains there were like 3,000 meters. But then when you went to the Punjab, it'd be baking hot, which is a lot like here, you know. If you're up in the mountains here, it's quite cool, but if you go into Wuhan, it's baking hot. I don't think the mountains here are as big as the ones in Himachal Pradesh, because in Himachal Pradesh, the mountains were snow-capped, whereas here they're not snow-capped. But they're definitely comparable, and these mountains are very tall. Another interesting thing about this mountain and this forest that I'm walking around now, some of the trees are very old here, and they'll have little signs up saying how old the trees are. I saw one before that was 333 years old, which is pretty old. It's a nice little forest to walk around as well. Very green and relaxing. The driver who I've rented today, he's driving us up, and on the way to the next site we've got up onto this hilltop and it's completely covered in cloud, which is amazing to see. And as you can see behind me, it's really quite grey and quite damp as well. You can feel the water touching your legs and your arms and stuff. It's crazy to see. Just behind me here is a forest that no one's allowed to enter. It's been preserved. Also, I think it's difficult to enter because no one's entered it in so long that there's no pathways or anything, so it's kind of dangerous to enter it as well. But it's a beautiful thing to see and incredibly scenic. It's great going and driving and renting a driver and driving around all these mountains because you get to see so much stuff that you wouldn't get to normally see. I've just reached the summit of this area, which is called Shenlong, and it's got a lot of beautiful views. It's also an amazing place to fly a drone. At the car park at the bottom, it's a really great place to take off. And then actually, it's really quite a safe flight because there's a large area of space, which is good. So we've got some great drone shots. Apparently, this is higher than 3,000 meters. So it's comparable to the mountains that I saw in Himachal Pradesh. Obviously, when you go up to Ladakh in India, it gets a lot higher than this, it gets to 5,000. So I'm at a place nearby to the summit of this mountain, and apparently this is a place where they found some Bigfoot footprints. I don't know if Bigfoot's your cup of tea or not, but apparently he roams these mountains. Also, it's quite high here. I do think there's a little bit of altitude issue because I was walking up some steps before and started feeling very tired very quickly. I'm at another part of this forest area and it's got a monkey sanctuary here. It's got some Sichuan snub-nosed monkeys, which is pretty cool to see. I think monkeys are probably my favourite animal as well, so I love them. But, you know, you get to see them jumping around in their big cages, kind of misbehaving. It's pretty good. It's quite a nice little place. Got a river down by the side as well. I'm at Bambiyuan, or the Cliffy Rocks in English, and basically this is just a place on top of the mountain that's got some interesting geology. The rocks have kind of been carved out by the wind in an unusual way, I think. It's quite interesting to see though. Behind me here are two pieces of geology, and one of them looks a little bit like a bird being fed. It's called baby phoenix waiting to be fed, and another one's supposed to look like a spirit turtle. This place is really beautiful, and no matter where you go, there's always a lot of great scenery. I'm 100% feeling better for coming here because I really needed a break from life in Shenzhen. So it's been a great holiday for me. One gripe that I'd have with this place though is that everything's so far away that you're constantly travelling. You're either renting a guy with a car to drive you around, or you're spending hours and hours on a coach, or you spend hours and hours on a train. It's so big as well that there's different villages to visit. So when we first got off the bullet train, we had to get a coach for 2.5 hours to a village to stay the night in, to get another coach for another 2.5 hours to get to this village to go and do things. There's lots of things you can do here, but it's so spread out that everything takes time. If you were to come here, you'd probably be better off if you had a car. You know, I would say that if you had a car, life would be a lot easier, because also you spend a lot of time waiting for travel. You know, if you buy a coach ticket, you've got to wait for the coach. The food's great, the town's great, very relaxing. When you get to the scenery, it's amazing, but everything takes time, and it takes time to get to the scenery. So I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.